Rain fell like acid daggers on the crumbling concrete buildings of the fringe. Under the bioluminescent glow of distant Celestia Tower, New Aurora looked like a mechanical leech, feeding on the remnants of what humanity once was. Detective Alex Mercer stared at his reflection in a puddle of rainwater, watching as the purple-blue lights from the alien district distorted his weathered face. 50 years after the Pentacontinental Peace Treaty. And what did humanity have to show for it? A cramped existence in the fringe, while the Zolarians thrived in their crystalline towers. The memory of their condescending words still burned in Alex's mind from his days as an Earth Security Force veteran. Your species has no natural weapons. It's a miracle you survived long enough to develop tools. Alex spat into the puddle, disturbing his reflection. His comm unit buzzed, projecting the stern face of his superior. Mercer, get to the Zolarian consulate, now. What happened? Another human causing trouble by existing too loudly? Alex couldn't hide the bitterness in his voice. Ambassador Kelthar has been assassinated, and it wasn't with a gun or knife. Someone bit him on the neck. Alex's cynical expression faltered. What? You heard me. The Zolarians are in an uproar, claiming humans have declared war. The Council has assigned you to work with a Zolarian officer to investigate. Don't screw this up, Mercer. The communication ended abruptly, leaving Alex in stunned silence. After years of being mocked for humanity's lack of natural weapons, someone had gone and used perhaps the most primitive human weapon of all, their teeth. Well, Alex muttered to himself as he headed toward the sleek maglev station that would take him to Celestia. Guess they forgot humans have teeth too. The celestial consulate loomed like a twisted spire of living metal and light, its surfaces rippling with patterns of bioluminescence that shifted between shades of purple and silver. Security drones hovered at every entrance, their scanning beams sweeping over each visitor. Alex showed his detective badge, noting how the Zolarian guards tensed at his approach. Inside, the scene was chaos. Zolarian officials moved in synchronized patterns, their skin flickering with agitated light patterns, their natural form of supplementary communication. Among them stood a tall, slender figure whose skin bore the formal markings of a security officer. Unlike the others, whose skin displayed frantic, chaotic patterns, this Zolarian's bioluminescence remained controlled, methodical. Detective Mercer, I am Security Liaison Ralnock. The Zolarian's voice had that typical melodic quality that always made Alex feel like he was being spoken down to. I have been assigned to partner with you on this investigation. Alex extended his hand, a gesture he knew made most Zolarians uncomfortable. To his surprise, Ralnock took it, though the slight flicker of disgust couldn't be hidden in the patterns across his skin. Let's see the body, Alex said. Ambassador Kelthar lay on the floor of his private chamber, his normally luminescent skin now dull and lifeless. Around his neck, unmistakable human teeth marks formed a crescent of puncture wounds. The depth suggested incredible force, enough to sever several critical neural pathways that ran close to Zolarian skin. Your species has claimed its first diplomatic victim, Ralnock said coldly, his skin pulsing with accusatory patterns. Alex knelt beside the body, examining the bite pattern. Before you condemn all of humanity, let's remember that teeth marks are like fingerprints. These belong to one individual, not an entire species. Your attempt at humor is inappropriate, Ralnock stated, though his skin patterns betrayed curiosity. It wasn't a joke, Alex replied, taking samples from the wound. Though I suppose it's ironic that after all your people's mockery about humans having no natural weapons, someone went and used perhaps the most basic one we have. Ralnock's skin flashed with irritation. This is exactly why your kind remains in the fringe. You lack the evolutionary sophistication to what? To develop bioluminescent skin? To build towers that look like they're made of living crystal? Alex stood up, facing the Zolarian directly. "You know what we did develop? Resilience. The ability to survive without fancy natural adaptations. And apparently, someone wanted to remind your people that teeth can be weapons too." The Zolarian's skin dimmed slightly, a sign of contemplation or perhaps concession. The scans show no Zolarian biometric IDs were registered in this area during the estimated time of death. All evidence points to human involvement. "Then let's start with the DNA from the bite marks," Alex suggested. "Whatever your opinion of humans, we leave biological evidence everywhere we go." Back at the new Aurora Central Lab, the DNA results surprised both investigators. The saliva contained human markers, yes, but also something else: genetic patterns consistent with Zolarian DNA. "A hybrid?" Ralnock's skin pulsed with disbelief. That's not possible." "More possible than you'd like to admit," Alex countered. "There's an entire community of Earth Zolarian hybrids living in the gray zone. Your government pretends they don't exist, but that doesn't make them any less real. These abominations are not recognized by celestial law." Ralnock's skin flickered with what Alex recognized as discomfort, perhaps even shame. "They're people, not abominations," Alex said sharply. "And now one of them might be involved in the ambassador's murder. We need to visit the gray zone." The gray zone existed in the shadowy boundary between the Fringe and Celestia, a no-man's land where neither human nor Zolarian authority fully extended. Buildings here were a curious blend of Earth architecture reinforced with salvaged Zolarian materials, creating structures that seemed to exist between two worlds, much like their inhabitants. As they walked through the narrow streets, Alex noticed how Ralnock's skin had dimmed to near darkness, a Zolarian's equivalent of trying to be inconspicuous. The hybrids they passed displayed varying degrees of Zolarian characteristics, some with partial bioluminescence, others with a distinctive height and facial structure, but all with human eyes that followed the unlikely pair of investigators with suspicion. "We're looking for information about the murder of Ambassador Kelthar," Alex announced to a group gathered around a makeshift market. "Anyone with information will be protected." Laughter rippled through the crowd. "Protected? By whom?" A hybrid woman stepped forward, her skin showing faint patterns of bitter amusement. "The humans who pretend we don't exist? Or the Zolarians who call us abominations?" "By me," Alex said firmly. "I don't care what either government thinks. A murder has been committed, and I want to prevent it from sparking another war." The woman studied him. Then Ralnock, whose discomfort was evident in his dimmed skin. "There's a laboratory on the eastern edge of the Kimon forest, run by a human scientist named Helena Voss. She's been researching human dental enzymes for years. The rumor is, she's found a way to make them lethal to Zolarians." Ralnock's skin flashed with alarm. "Why would anyone research such a thing?" The woman's partial bioluminescence pulsed with what might have been sardonic amusement. "Maybe because after decades of being told humans have no natural weapons, someone decided to prove otherwise." The Kimon forest stretched along the eastern boundary of New Aurora, a place changed by the radiation from the last human-Zolarian conflict. Mutated vegetation grew in impossible shapes, and occasionally, Alex could swear he saw movement among the twisted trees, creatures neither fully plant nor animal. "Your Earth forests were not like this before our arrival, were they?" Ralnock asked, seemingly genuinely curious. "No," Alex replied, ducking under a phosphorescent vine. "This is what happens when two technologically advanced species decide to settle their differences with weapons instead of words." They found Helena Voss's laboratory hidden beneath what appeared to be an abandoned pre-war structure. The entrance was sophisticated, a combination of Earth mechanical locks and salvaged Zolarian biometric scanners. "She doesn't want visitors," Alex observed, working to bypass the security. "Or she doesn't want to be found," Ralnock added, his skin patterns revealing growing concern. When the door finally opened, They were met with the sharp smell of chemical preservatives and something else, a distinctive odor that Alex recognized from dental offices. Inside, the laboratory was immaculate, with equipment that seemed cobbled together from human technology and modified Zellerian components. "Don't move," came a woman's voice from the shadows, followed by the distinct sound of an energy weapon charging. "I don't often get visitors, especially not pairs of human detectives and Zellerian security officers." Helena Voss stepped into the light, a slender woman with prematurely gray hair and the intense focus of someone who had spent too much time in isolation. The weapon in her hand was a hybrid design, Earth components with Zellerian energy cells. "We're investigating the murder of Ambassador Kelthar," Alex explained, hands raised. "He was killed with a bite to the neck, a human bite. Your name came up." Helena's expression flickered with surprise, then dismay. "Kelthar is dead? That wasn't supposed to happen." "What wasn't supposed to happen?" Ralnock demanded, his skin flashing with accusatory patterns. Helena lowered her weapon slightly. "My research. It was never meant to be weaponized. I was studying human dental enzymes for their potential medical applications. Our saliva contains compounds that could treat certain Zellerian neural conditions." "Yet someone used teeth to kill an ambassador," Alex pointed out. "Coincidence?" Helena shook her head. 3 months ago, my lab was broken into. Some of my experimental enzyme formulations were stolen, ones that I'd been developing to break down specific Zellerian neural pathways, for surgical purposes only." "Who would have access to your research? Who knew about it?" Alex pressed. "Almost no one," Helena replied. "The Zellerian Scientific Council rejected my funding applications years ago. They said researching human dental enzymes was a waste of resources, that there was nothing of value to be found in such primitive biology." Ralnock's skin dimmed with what might have been embarrassment. "The Council can be conservative in their assessment of non-Zellerian science." "Conservative?" Helena laughed bitterly. "They mocked my entire proposal, said humans were studying their own teeth because they had nothing else of value to contribute. So I continued independently, using salvaged equipment and my own resources. And now someone has used your research to commit murder and potentially trigger another conflict," Alex said grimly. "We need to see your records, Dr. Voss. Everything about who might have known about your work." As they examined Helena's records, a pattern emerged. There had been multiple security breaches, all traceable to a specific subset of Zellerian technology, the kind used exclusively by the Black Moon faction, a Zellerian extremist group that opposed peace with humans. "The Black Moon believes Zellerians should rule Earth, not share it," Ralnock explained, his skin patterns betraying deep concern. "They consider the Pentacontinental Peace Treaty a betrayal of Zellerian superiority. And what better way to invalidate the treaty than to frame humans for the assassination of a prominent ambassador?" Alex reasoned. "Using human teeth as the murder weapon is practically a signature, a way of mocking us while simultaneously giving them cause for war." "But the DNA we found was hybrid," Helena pointed out, "not purely human. A deliberate choice," Ralnock realized, his skin flashing with patterns of discovery. "The Black Moon could claim that humans have been breeding specialized hybrid assassins, creating biological weapons by mixing DNA." Alex's comm unit suddenly buzzed with an emergency alert. On the screen, footage showed Zellerian security forces cordoning off the gray zone, rounding up hybrids. "They're moving faster than we anticipated," Alex said grimly. "They're already using the murder as justification for a purge." "And they'll be coming for me next," Helena realized. "My research is the key to proving this was a staged attack." A sudden explosion rocked the laboratory, sending equipment crashing to the floor. Through the security monitors, they could see Black Moon operatives in distinctive dark armor surrounding the building. "They're here to eliminate the evidence," Ralnock said, his skin pulsing with urgent patterns. "And us along with it. There's a tunnel," Helena said, moving quickly to a concealed panel. I built it when I first established the lab. It leads to an old human bunker about half a kilometer from here. As they moved through the narrow passage, explosions continued to rock the structure above them. Alex took the rear position, weapon drawn. Why would they kill Ambassador Kelthar? Helena asked, as they hurried through the darkness. He was one of the few Zolarians who supported cross-species research. Exactly why he was targeted, Ralnock replied, his bioluminescence providing just enough light to navigate by. Kelthar had recently been appointed to the Scientific Council. He was reviewing rejected proposals, including yours, Dr. Voss. He believed there might be value in human biological research that had been overlooked. So they killed him before he could legitimize my work, Helena realized, and used my own research to do it. They emerged in an abandoned human bunker, its walls still bearing the scars of the last conflict. Through a monitoring system Helena had installed, they could see Black Moon operatives ransacking the laboratory above, systematically destroying everything. We need to get to the Celestial Council, Alex said decisively. They're holding an emergency session to discuss the ambassador's murder. If we don't present our evidence there, the Black Moon will push for immediate military action against human territories. I'm a security officer accused of collaborating with humans, Ralnock pointed out, his skin patterns displaying uncertainty. And you're a human detective with no standing in Zolarian courts. They won't simply allow us to present evidence. Then we don't ask permission, Alex replied. We've got a murdered ambassador, a rogue faction, and the potential for another war. Sometimes protocol has to take a back seat to preventing catastrophe. I have data backups of all my research, Helena offered, retrieving a small storage device from a hidden compartment. Everything needed to prove the enzymes were stolen and weaponized against Kelthar. It won't be enough. Ralnock's skin pulsed with troubled patterns. The Council will demand physical evidence, a match between the enzyme formulation and what was used on the ambassador. Then we need to get back to the consulate, Alex said. The ambassador's body is still there, and I took samples from the bite wounds. Impossible, Ralnock countered. The consulate will be locked down, and I'm likely already listed as a traitor for working with you, instead of bringing you in for questioning. Alex smiled grimly. Good thing I've had plenty of practice getting into places I'm not supposed to be. The journey back to the city center was perilous. Black Moon patrols had established checkpoints throughout the Fringe and the Gray Zone, ostensibly searching for the ambassador's killer, but clearly targeting humans and hybrids indiscriminately. They narrowly avoided detection multiple times, once hiding in a drainage system as a patrol passed overhead, the acidic rainwater burning their skin as they remained motionless in the darkness. Why are you helping us? Helena asked Ralnock during a brief respite. Your people would welcome another conflict. You'd win easily against what's left of human forces. Ralnock's skin displayed complex patterns that Alex couldn't fully interpret. I was raised to believe in Zolarian superiority, he admitted. That humans were primitive creatures who had somehow stumbled upon technology without earning it through proper evolution. And now, Alex pressed, now I see that my people's arrogance may be our greatest weakness, Ralnock replied. We've been so convinced of our biological superiority that we've overlooked the potential in other species. It's humbling to realize that human dental enzymes, something we considered primitive and unremarkable, could be weaponized against us so effectively. The Celestial Tower gleamed like a massive crystalline monument to Zolarian achievement, its surfaces alive with flowing patterns of light. Security had been intensified, with armed guards and scanning drones at every entrance. The council session begins in 30 minutes, Ralnock said, consulting a data feed on his wrist device. By now, the Black Moon will have planted evidence implicating humans and hybrids in a coordinated assassination plot. Then we need to move quickly, Alex decided. Helena, you know your research best. You'll need to present the evidence to the council directly. They'll never let a human scientist address the council during an emergency session. Helena protested. They will if she's brought in as evidence by a Zalarian security officer, Alex countered. Looking at Ralnock meaningfully, Ralnock's skin flickered with understanding. I could claim to have captured you both while investigating the murder. It would get us past the initial security checkpoints. And once we're inside, we make our way to the council chambers. Alex finished. Helena presents her evidence, and we expose the Black Moon's plot before they can push for war. The plan was audacious and fraught with risk, but they had no alternatives. Using salvaged restraints, Ralnock bound their wrists loosely, tight enough to appear genuine, but allowing them to slip free if necessary. As they approached the tower's security checkpoint, Ralnock adopted the imperious bearing typical of Zalarian officials, his skin patterns projecting absolute authority. Security Liaison Ralnock, bringing prisoners for interrogation before the council, he announced to the guards. These humans have information regarding Ambassador Kelthar's assassination. The guards hesitated, consulting their data screens. You've been flagged as a potential collaborator, Liaison Ralnock, one said suspiciously. By whom? Ralnock demanded, his skin flashing with indignation. I've been conducting my investigation as ordered. These humans surrendered when presented with evidence of their complicity. They wished to implicate others in exchange for leniency. It was a gamble, playing on the Zalarian belief that humans would readily betray one another to save themselves. After a tense moment, the guards stepped aside, allowing them to enter. That was the easy part, Alex muttered, as they moved through the towering atrium. Getting into the council chamber will be much harder. The interior of Celestial Tower was even more impressive than its exterior. A vast open space with platforms and walkways seemingly suspended in air, connected by bridges of light that formed and dissolved as needed. Zalarians moved with practiced ease through the complex architecture, their skin patterns helping them navigate the ever-changing layout. As they neared the council chambers, alarms suddenly blared throughout the structure. On massive projection screens throughout the atrium, images appeared of the three of them, labeled as dangerous fugitives. We've been compromised, Ralnock said tersely, his skin patterns betraying alarm. There, Helena pointed to a service corridor partially hidden behind a decorative feature. Maintenance access. It might lead to the council level. They abandoned all pretense now, slipping their restraints and running for the corridor as security drones converged on their position. The narrow passage beyond was clearly designed for maintenance workers, lacking the aesthetic refinement of the public areas. The council chamber has multiple access points for service personnel, Ralnock explained, as they hurried through the utilitarian corridor. If we can reach one undetected, we might still have a chance to present our evidence. They emerged onto a maintenance platform overlooking the council chamber, a magnificent amphitheater, where 12 Zalarian counselors sat in a semicircle, their skin displaying formal patterns of solemn deliberation. At the center of the chamber stood a tall, imposing Zalarian, whose elaborate skin patterns marked him as a high-ranking official. Lord Zalcor, Ralnock whispered, his own skin dimming in response. High Commander of Zalarian Security Forces and suspected leader of the Black Moon faction, though it's never been proven. Below them, Zalcor addressed the council with passionate intensity. The evidence is irrefutable. Ambassador Kelthar was assassinated using a biological weapon developed by humans, a weaponized enzyme derived from their own primitive dental structure. We have traced this weapon to a secret laboratory operated by a human scientist named Helena Voss. Helena stiffened beside Alex. He's twisting everything, she whispered fiercely. Furthermore, Zalcor continued, we have discovered that this Helena Voss has been creating hybrid assassins, beings with human aggression but Zalarian access capabilities. The DNA evidence confirms this. The council member's skin displayed patterns of shock and outrage as Zalcor presented fabricated evidence, modified versions of Helena's research combined with falsified security footage. "We must act decisively," Zalcor urged. "The Pentacontinental Treaty has failed. Humans cannot be trusted to live alongside superior beings. They resort to their primitive biological weapons when technology fails them." "This is our moment," Alex said, eyeing the distance to the chamber floor. "We need to interrupt before they vote." "Security will kill you before you can speak," Ralnock warned. "Not if you announce us formally," Alex countered. "You're still a Zalarian officer. Protocol demands they at least hear accusations from one of their own." Ralnock hesitated, his skin patterns betraying his internal conflict. Finally, they solidified into a resolved pattern. "Stay close behind me," he instructed. Ralnock stepped confidently onto a light bridge that connected their platform to the chamber floor, his skin projecting the formal patterns of one who comes bearing crucial testimony. Alex and Helena followed closely, trying to project a confidence they didn't feel. "Counselors," Ralnock announced, his voice cutting through Zalcor's presentation. "I bring evidence that contradicts these accusations and reveals a conspiracy against both our peoples." The chamber erupted in chaos, security drones immediately surrounding the unexpected arrivals. Zalcor's skin flashed with patterns that Alex recognized as alarm, quickly masked by outrage. "This officer has been compromised," Zalcor declared. "He has been working with human conspirators. Seize them immediately." "I invoke the right of contradictory evidence," Ralnock called out, using a formal Zalarian legal procedure that Alex had never heard of. "By our oldest laws, the Council must hear testimony that directly contradicts accusations of interspecies aggression." The head counselor, Lena Tellurian, raised her hand, her skin displaying patterns of reluctant acknowledgement. "The right is acknowledged, though rarely invoked. Present your evidence swiftly. Liaison Ralnock." Ralnock gestured to Helena, who stepped forward despite the weapons trained on her. "I am Dr. Helena Voss," she began, her voice steady despite her fear. "My research focuses on human dental enzymes and their potential medical applications for Zalarian neural conditions. 3 months ago, my laboratory was raided and experimental formulations were stolen. Formulations that could, if modified, affect Zalarian neural pathways." "Convenient claims without proof," Zalcor interjected dismissively. "I have proof," Helena countered, producing her data storage device. "Complete records of the break-in, including security footage showing individuals using Black Moon faction technology." The council murmured as the head counselor accepted the device, connecting it to the chamber's projection system. Images appeared, showing masked figures with distinctive Black Moon insignia, stealing samples from Helena's laboratory. "Furthermore," Ralnock added, "the assassination was perpetrated not to start a war on behalf of humans, but to prevent Ambassador Kelthar from legitimizing Dr. Voss's research. He had begun reviewing her previously rejected funding proposals, recognizing their potential value." Zalcor's skin displayed increasingly agitated patterns. "These are fabrications. The human scientist created a biological weapon from their primitive teeth enzymes. We have the evidence here." He gestured to a sealed container on a pedestal. "That container holds a modified version of my enzyme research," Helena stated confidently. "But it's been altered from its original medical purpose. I can prove it with a simple test." The head counselor's skin patterns showed skepticism, but also cautious interest. "Proceed." Helena approached the container, carefully examining its contents, using a Zalarian analysis device provided by one of the council assistants. "This enzyme has been modified with Zalarian cellular components, something impossible in a purely human laboratory. Only someone with advanced Zalarian biotechnology could have made these alterations." "Lies!" Zalcor's skin was now pulsing with barely controlled rage. "This human thinks she can deceive the council with technical jargon." "Then perhaps you'd prefer a demonstration," Alex suggested, stepping forward despite the weapons still trained on him. If Helena's claims are true, then the enzyme sample you've presented should match exactly what was used to kill Ambassador Kelthar. I took samples from the bite wounds during my initial investigation. Let's compare them directly. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Zalkor's bioluminescent patterns. The head counselor noted this reaction, her own skin displaying increasing suspicion. A reasonable test, she decided. Present your sample, human detective. Alex produced the sealed evidence container with the samples he'd taken from the ambassador's wounds. Under the council's watchful eyes, Helena conducted a comparison analysis using the chamber's advanced scientific equipment. The enzymes don't match, she announced after several tense minutes. The sample from Ambassador Kelthar contains traces of a Zalarian neural suppressant, not present in the sample Lord Zalkor provided. This suppressant is produced exclusively by the Black Moon faction's laboratories. The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs, the councilor's skin displaying patterns of alarm and outrage, now directed at Zalkor. "This proves nothing," Zalkor snarled, his composure cracking. "The humans have manipulated the evidence. He was interrupted by a commotion at the chamber entrance. A group of Zalarian security officers entered, escorting a restrained hybrid whose features showed clear signs of both human and Zalarian heritage. "Counselors," the lead officer announced, "we have apprehended the actual assassin. Under interrogation, he has confessed to killing Ambassador Kelthar under orders from the Black Moon faction." Zalkor's skin went almost dark, a sign of extreme shock or fear among Zalarians. In that moment of distraction, he reached for a concealed weapon, aiming it directly at the head counselor. "If peace cannot be undone through law, then it will be undone through chaos," he declared, his skin now displaying patterns Alex had never seen before, something ancient and fanatical. Alex moved instinctively, lunging toward Zalkor with surprising speed. The Zalarian turned his weapon toward this new threat, but not quickly enough. Alex tackled him to the ground, and in the struggle that followed, did something that shocked everyone in the chamber. He bit down hard on Zalkor's neck, in precisely the same location where Ambassador Kelthar had been bitten. Zalkor screamed, his skin flashing with patterns of pain and disbelief as Alex released him and backed away, spitting to clear his mouth of the metallic taste of Zalarian blood. "Ironic, isn't it?" Alex said grimly, as security officers rushed to restrain the now weakened Zalkor. "You mocked humans for having no natural weapons, yet here we are." The head counselor approached, her skin displaying complex patterns of shock, respect, and something like amused irony. "Detective Mercer, while your methods are unorthodox, they have revealed the truth in a most poetic manner." She turned to address the full council. "The evidence is clear. The Black Moon faction, led by Lord Zalkor, assassinated Ambassador Kelthar to prevent scientific collaboration and to instigate war with humans. This conspiracy ends today." In the days that followed, the truth spread throughout New Aurora. The Black Moon faction's members were identified and apprehended. Zalkor, recovering from the bite but permanently disgraced, faced the justice of both Zalarian and human courts for crimes against peace. Helena Voss was granted full funding and recognition for her research, establishing a joint human-Zalarian laboratory in a neutral zone between the Fringe and Celestia. Her work on dental enzymes was now being studied seriously by Zalarian scientists who had previously dismissed it as primitive curiosity. 1 month after the events at the Celestial Tower, Alex found himself standing on a balcony overlooking the city. The lights of Celestia still dominated the skyline, but now, smaller points of light were appearing in the Fringe, signs of Zalarian technology being shared with human communities. "Enjoying the view?" Ralnock asked, joining him at the railing. The Zalarian skin displayed patterns that Alex had come to recognize as friendship, something he would have thought impossible just weeks ago. It's changing, Alex observed. Slowly, but it's changing. Indeed. The Council has approved the Natural Biology Cooperation Treaty. Dr. Voss's research will be just the beginning. Ralnock's skin rippled with thoughtful patterns. It seems we had much to learn from each other all along. Your people just needed a reminder that sometimes the most basic biological features can be the most surprising, Alex said with a slight smile. Teeth, for instance. A lesson in humility that was long overdue, Ralnock admitted. Though I would prefer future scientific exchanges not involve actual biting. Alex laughed. A genuine sound that surprised even himself. Agreed. Though I have to admit, the look on Zalkor's face when I bit him was almost worth the terrible taste. You've been awarded the Cross of Earth Unity, Ralnock noted. A high honor among your people. And you've been appointed cultural ambassador, Alex countered. Seems we both have new responsibilities. Below them, the city continued its nightly rhythm, the lights of Zalarian towers now mingling with the more modest illumination from the fringe. It wasn't perfect harmony yet, but it was a beginning, one built on a newfound respect that had started, ironically enough, with teeth. 2 natural weapons, Ralnock said, raising a small flask of iridescent liquid in a toast, a human gesture he had clearly been practicing. Alex smiled, raising his own drink, and to not needing to use them. As night fell completely over New Aurora, the city's lights reflected in the acid rain puddles, like stars caught on the ground. In the distance, construction had begun on a new structure, neither purely Zalarian nor human in design, but something new altogether. Its purpose, according to the announcement holograms, was to house the first joint Zalarian-Human Scientific Council, with Dr. Helena Voss as its inaugural director. For the first time in 50 years, there was genuine hope that the peace between species might evolve into something more, actual cooperation built on mutual respect. And it had all started because someone had forgotten that humans, for all their supposed evolutionary deficiencies, still had their teeth.